In 1937, the state of Florida broke ground on a little beachside road that bureaucrats so poetically dubbed County Road 30A. An alternate route to State Road 30, hence the A in 30A, the little-known and little-used road wove its way through lush green pine forests and pristine and powdery white sand dunes. Over the decades, a few residential clusters began to sprout up here and there, mostly sporadic plots with cinder block vacation homes and rickety cabins perched atop wooden pilings. But it was the now famous new urbanist town of Seaside, Florida that finally, and almost quite literally, put 30A on the map, while setting the standard for 30A's world-changing legacy of urban planning. Founded by Robert and Darrell Davis in 1981, the 80-acre patch of a town was based upon a master plan co-conceived by planners Andreas Duani and Elizabeth Plater-Zybert. Born in Seaside, New Urbanism is an urban planning movement and philosophy which emphasizes the health, happiness, environmental, and lifestyle benefits of building walkable neighborhoods. Who needs a car? Walk to the cafe. Walk to the grocery store. Walk to church. Walk to the school. In a world dominated by cars and traffic jams and road rage and joyless hours upon hours of commutes, Seaside struck a nerve, and it sparked a global movement to rethink just how towns and neighborhoods are designed. To help shepherd a mass migration back to this simple, human-centric way of life, the Davises established the Seaside Institute in 1982.
I think looking back on what we've done, we had no idea that we'd be plugging away for 40 years at this, and we're now in our 42nd year. I'm beginning to think of the Seaside Institute as an organization that creates alliances with other organizations trying to do similar work.
The nonprofit think tank's mission was to promote buildable, sustainable places through design and education, effectively using the embryonic town of Seaside as a living laboratory. Micah Davis grew up as part of Seaside's founding family, and he now finds himself helping to shape this tiny beach town's future.
I think I've always just been interested in the way our environments shape who we are. You can feel sort of cradled by a place and made to feel comfortable, and a lot of it just has to do with how it's designed. Seaside Institute definitely helped build my interest in designing human environments, so I like to think of it. And most of it was through the Pienza Institute trips, and those were amazing opportunities to tour really cool cities with brilliant architects.
The Seaside Institute brought together visionaries, thought leaders, and experts from many different fields and many different disciplines, all together in one room to collaborate, to discuss, and to build upon each other's ideas with the goal of somehow creating better communities across the globe.
I think the impact that Seaside has had on other communities is primarily by serving as an example and just providing the lessons that have worked well. I know that speaking with Casey Roloff, who's with his wife Laura, is the founder of Seabrook, Washington, that Robert and Darrell were very generous with their knowledge and their recommendations. Casey and Laura say that that was pretty pivotal for them. Seeing that, I think, kind of puts you in touch with okay, this is why we're doing this. This is what we're aiming for. This is kind of our North Star.
The Davises embarked on an extensive tour of Europe to identify and study old world practices that had somehow been lost amidst the urban sprawl that was unraveling out of control in so many places around the globe. They brought everything they learned right back to the little burgeoning town of Seaside.
The later European trips that I took with them definitely influenced my outlook. And I don't think I fully was conscious of it at the time, but when we would be walking through streets, my dad would point out buildings and the way they were interacting with the buildings around them and the way the streets were working together. And I sort of just took it in as like a kid or a teenager, like, yeah, sure. And I didn't realize the way it was kind of seeping into my subconscious to see that who you are is really shaped by where you've lived and where you grew up. And that we can design places that allow us to be better versions of ourselves.
That first intercontinental trip would inspire many additional academic research trips in the decades ahead, all with the goal of identifying and bringing ancient knowledge and fresh ideas back to the Seaside Institute.
The older you go, the more you can see environments that were shaped primarily for human beings as opposed to for cars. And you can feel palpably the difference, and the people who live in those places are also very different than I think people who grow up in car-centric designed places. They interact with each other differently and more often, I think. They just have more social interaction. The Institute's mission has evolved. In the beginning, a kind of like desire to like spread the word out, and now it's sort of like, what can we do in our area to apply these principles and to make life better for everyone here?
Over the decades, as the town of Seaside has evolved, so have its needs and its challenges.
The major focus for the Institute right now is around mobility, different alternatives other than driving. The kind of conventional way of solving for traffic congestion is to create more lanes. Problem continues and multiplies on itself. And that's what the Institute is working on now, whether that's bicycle infrastructure and to work with the county to sort of design a public transit system. These are all things that I think would really improve the quality of life for everyone living here.
Today, the world comes to Seaside. Students, academics, and forward-thinking minds from all walks of life routinely stroll these cobblestone sandside streets in search of ideas and inspiration for utilizing back in their own communities. In Seaside, you don't just read or hear about new urban design, you see it in physical form, working, improving, evolving.
There's also the Seaside Prize, which is our signature event where we give an award to someone who's done outstanding work in the cause of supporting or spreading the word about new urbanism or urban design. So that's a pretty great opportunity because you can come here and, you know, have a couple days in beautiful Seaside and learn some really interesting things.
Time magazine once called Seaside the most astonishing design achievement of its era. After more than 40 years of planning, execution, and growth, one would think the town of Seaside is pretty much complete. But in truth and in practice, that's far from the case. The beloved town continues to grow and evolve in ways that often surprise, intrigue, and delight its founding family.
You know, through our work can kind of get this idea of human-centered environmental design or rather than car-centric design out into the wider world and into the American minds. I think that would be a huge gift and huge legacy. And I feel pretty proud if we could accomplish that.
Seaside continues to serve as a living laboratory. And the Institute is still here too, traveling, observing, learning, researching, documenting, collaborating, enhancing, sharing, with the hope and aspiration that we can all relearn to live healthier, happier, and more meaningful lives by starting with the very places that we all call home.